What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And I was recently listening to a recent-ish episode of Jason Whitlock's show, right? And him and his co-host, this guy Skap, they was having a discussion. Let me see, what was the name of that? All right, so it was Nikola Jokic surpasses LeBron James. I think LeBron James, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird, right? And I think, like, I don't think you should. I don't think you do yourself a favor when you compare today's basketball players to like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Number one, the league was just so much tougher than, and so their mentality and their playing style just makes, like, the way the guys play today, it just makes them look. It's like no comparison. You got guys, that's just like, I don't know, that's like comparing somebody who go camping to somebody who actually went to war. It's like you talking two different levels, man. So and they're it was an interesting discussion. I think if, like, Jokic, I think, is a dominant ball player, very good ball player, but for this era, right? From the Kobe Bryant era on, like during the LeBron era, the Steph era, whatever you want to call it, from like 2016, 2014 up until now, the Joker, in my opinion, I think probably one of the best players in the league, all around for what he brings. Even though Joker is not really a great defender, but for what he do on the court, man, I think he's one of the best in the league. But you can't compare the Joker, in my opinion, to Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. That's, it's just, I think you got to have a line where you can't. This era right here is just not comparable to those guys, man. And so, and I think Jason Whitlock during this discussion, because really it's the guy Shat, not Shat, is his name Shat or Skap? His name's Skap. He was making a case that the Joker has surpassed Magic and Bird, right? But it's just so much you can't compare those guys. But I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna give my commentary. And so here we go.
This next conversation will be as polite. You said something fascinating on yesterday's show, that Nikola Jokic's stretch here, and I'm going to call it a 5-year stretch, nice round number, is the second highest peak in NBA history. And I'm assuming, and nod your head, Michael Jordan's got the highest peak, in your opinion. And so I'm going to throw out, I'm not going to bring Bill Russell into it. He's playing in a compact 9, 10, 11 team NBA. Throw that out. It's, not going to do it. So now, we'll throw out the 70s as well. And we'll talk about the era that started with Magic and Bird and included.
See, I think you got to throw Magic and Bird. You can't compare. You got to leave that out, because those guys don't play, like, they don't play the same.
Jordan, and then has been extended to LeBron, and now we're moving basically into the post-LeBron era. And so I here, Larry Bird, LeBron James, and Nikola Jokic are who we're talking about. And I hate to not include Magic in this stretch, but he just doesn't rate. These are the three guys. And so let's look at their accomplishments during, these are 5-year stretches. Bird from 82 to 86, LeBron from 2009 to 2013, Jokic from 21 to 25. 2 NBA titles for Bird and LeBron, 2 finals MVPs for Bird and LeBron, 3 season MVPs for Bird, 4 for LeBron. Then Jokic on that has 1 title, 1 finals MVP, 3 season MVPs. And then when we go to just stats, and I believe these are 5-year averages, I think, but Larry Bird, 5 times first team All NBA, averaged 25 points, 10.5 rebounds, 6.3 assists. LeBron James, 5 first-team All-NBAs, 28.3 points, basically 9 rebounds, 6.3 assists. Nikola Jokic, 4 first-team All-NBAs, basically 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists. I'm sorry. Stats are incredible. Obviously, we would have to agree Jokic is playing in an era where it's much easier to acquire stats, elevated stats. Anyway, I think without me adding much, just listing the accomplishments, it's hard to say Nikola Jokic's peak is better than Larry Bird's or LeBron James.
Yeah.
See, that's all right. Now we get ready to get into Skap. Get ready to give his take on it. But all right, I don't have a problem comparing the Joker to LeBron James, like I said, because they kind of played they played during the same time, the same era. Larry Bird, man, and you took Magic out. Why not take Bird out of this discussion? Because it's just not. You can't compare those guys.
I think the way I look at it, Jason, is Nikola Jokic, the gap, which I said yesterday, the gap between him and the next best player right now is more pronounced. It's more extreme than at any time in NBA history outside of, you can arguably say Jordan. I would put Jordan above. I would say Jordan being the best player in the NBA for the 90s, the next best player was drastically far off of Jordan. Other than where we're at right now, though, with Nikola Jokic, that's it. Like, just Jordan. Nikola Jokic is so substantially better than the next best player that that kind of distance from the best player to the next best player in the league at the time has never been wider other than Jordan. I take some offense in the fact that.
All right. So if the Joker, I'm gonna cut him off right there. If the Joker is so much better than everybody in the league, like Michael was, like, then why is that not translated into more than just one championship throughout the Joker's career? Not to say that the Joker, I think the Joker is a very good basketball player, right? But it gotta translate more into, it gotta translate more into wins and championships.
That we're strapping in like MVP, finals MVPs, championships. No one values winning more than me, Jason. No one makes the conversation and builds the conversation around value and impact in winning games more than I do. But it's not a fair conversation to have with Nikola Jokic. It really is a nuanced discussion. When you look at Nikola Jokic and the supporting cast this guy has been burdened to have throughout his now 11 seasons in the league, it's unparalleled. What do I mean by that? I went back and I looked at every NBA MVP winner. So every guy that's won a regular season MVP since 1980. I checked their supporting casts in their first 10 years that they've been in the NBA. Larry Bird had played with the second most players at that point, his first decade in the league, that were either an all-star or made an all-NBA or all-NBA defensive designation. Second most ever, only behind Magic. Magic played with 32 such selected players. Bird had 29. When you look at Michael Jordan, he's on the low end of the scale. He played with only 9 guys, or 9 times he played with a guy that was an all-star, all-NBA, or all-NBA defense. Nikola Jokic is the only guy since 1980 to win a league MVP that has 0 such teammates. He has never played once.
I want to say, now, what about Allen Iverson? Like, if you look at those teams that Allen Iverson had when he was with the Sixers, I remember George Lynch, Aaron McKee, Snow. What's the guy? What's Snow's first name? I forgot. I don't know if it was Dark. I don't know. It was something Snow. But like nobody that Mutombo. He played with Mutombo. The guy named Hill. What was the guy Hill first name? But Allen Iverson now Allen Iverson didn't win a championship. The Joker won 1 championship. But you as a player, you just got to play with the hand that you dealt with. You can't say that Allen Iverson didn't have, all the all-stars and that Magic had, or all the all-stars that Bird had. he just made the best of it, you know. And I don't see, you know, and I think the Joker is making the best of his situation. You know, I don't know how history is going to grade those guys that the Joker is playing with. I think they, you know, I think they pretty good. Like you said, I don't think they like a Kevin McHale. I don't think he, you know, I don't think, you know, they are like somebody like a James Worthy, like Magic had James Worthy. I don't think he got guys of that caliber, but it is what it is. You know, that's what I think.
With a single all-star, a single all-NBA player, a single all-NBA defensive player, never one time. Not only is he the only guy to win an MVP since 1980 to have 0, but he's the only player in NBA history to play his first 10 years without one guy that has made one of those designations. He simply doesn't have the help. And unlike LeBron, the coward mercenary that he was, when he crawled on his hands and knees to Dwayne Wade's team and built this super team with a top 5 league-wide player in Wade, and they recruit a top 15 league-wide player in Chris Bosh, Jokic has just stayed put, kept his mouth shut, and kept playing at this ridiculously unmatched level. And he somehow, some way has managed one title. Give Nikola Jokic. Larry Bird played with 2 top 50 players all time to win 3 championships. Magic Johnson played with 2 top 50 players all time to win his championships. Michael Jordan had a top 50 player in Scottie Pippen to win all 6 of his rings. I'm not even asking for a top 50 player for Nikola Jokic. I'm saying, can he get one single all-star? And let's see what this guy can do. I think if you gave Nikola Jokic the supporting cast that LeBron James has had in LeBron James's streak, which you've pointed out, Jokic would have won far more than LeBron James. And you can look, the impact of winning, the impact he makes on winning is glaring when you look at his advanced metrics. But I take exception with, we just have to count these finals wins and MVPs. Jason, your guy Chuck, there was a conversation about Jokic versus Shaq, which went viral on Inside the NBA when Shaq and Charles Barkley were arguing, and Barkley basically said Jokic would kill you head to head. And Shaq and him started arguing, and then it went viral, and people were saying, well, Jokic needs more than 1 ring if you're going to move him past Shaq, who has 4. In a 10-year span, Jason, to win the 4 rings that Shaq won, he had Kobe Bryant for 8 years and then Dwayne Wade for 2 years. Like Kobe Bryant, the 2nd greatest shooting guard ever, and Dwayne Wade, the 5th greatest shooting guard ever, for Shaq to win 4.
All right, let me say this. Like I said, I just think that, number one, I like the Joker, but I don't think that he would have tore Shaq up, because like if you put the Joker in Shaq's era, he would have got what everybody else got from Shaq, pushed around and dunked on. Now, if you put Shaq in this era, I think the Joker, you know what I mean? I think the Joker would destroy Shaq. So that's a hard, you know, Shaq did what he had to do in his era, just like the Joker is doing what he need to do in his era. And I go back to my Allen Iverson point. Like Allen Iverson didn't play with a bunch of all-stars or guys who are going to go down in history as great ball players. And so Allen Iverson made the best of the situation. They went to, with Allen Iverson, the Sixers went to one champion. That was a championship series that they lost to the Lakers. I think they lost that in 5. Yeah, they lost it in 5. They won the first game, and then the Lakers just got them out of there for the next 4, right? But, you can't say that Allen Iverson would have been better than if he had the same kind of talent that Isaiah had. Look at who Isaiah played with. Besides Joe Dumars, you had Vinnie Johnson. He had some. They were great role players that Isaiah played with. But and I do think Joe Dumars is a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. But yeah, Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn. Like I said, Vinnie Johnson, Dennis Rodman. I don't know, man. I think I appreciate the fact that the Joker has stayed in Denver and made his mark. And he did what franchise ball players have done in the past. He's like a throwback ball player. He was like, look, whatever y'all put out here with me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the best of the situation and I'm going to win with it. That's what he did. But, you know, like, as far as comparing him to Magic and Bird, two different eras, two different playing styles, I don't even like comparing him to Shaq, because Shaq was just too damn dominant, man. You know, like, you know, it was just crazy. The Joker in this era right here, it suits, you know, he just made the best of it. I ain't gonna say it suits him, because I think the way he played, he could have played in any era, because he's not, you know, like the way he see the floor, the way he can get to his spot and stuff like that and set his teammates up, you know. But man, you know, it is what it is. He just like Allen Iverson, when Allen Iverson with the Sixers, except for he won a championship. You know, he got a bunch of role players around him, and he basically is towing, you know, pulling everybody along with him. But you can't compare him to Bird, Magic. And on top of that, when Bird and Magic play, although their teams was loaded, they going up against other teams that was loaded, because you had less teams in the league then. You didn't get a whole bunch of league expansion until Mike came in. When Mike came in, then the league started to expand more. But when Magic, I forgot, I think it was probably like 26, 24 teams when Magic and Bird was playing, you know, like when they was going back and forth. And then I think when Mike came in, then they went, you know, they started to expand. But yeah, so you had some loaded Bird was going up against loaded teams. Magic team was loaded. The Mavericks was loaded back then. Then you had Sidney Moncrief. Who did they play for? The Bucks was loaded. Man, not the Magic. What was it? The Mavericks. Yeah, the Dallas Mavericks had loaded. They had loaded teams all over the NBA because you had less jobs. You know, it was, man. So yeah, you can't compare those two eras though. The Joker is doing his thing, no doubt. But yeah, Bird, you needed that. You better have a loaded team if you're going up against Magic and you're going up against Sidney Moncrief and you're going up against who else had loaded teams back then, man? It just was. It was just, man. It was a few teams back then where you had some teams that was loaded. So that's my take on it, man. Separate those eras, man. Leave the 80s out of it. Leave the 80s out of it, and the 90s for real. But make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, man, I'm gonna check y'all out in the next video. Peace.